Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Algebra 2. Today I've been turned into a velociraptor. I hope you don't mind that. Alright, well today, as you can see, we're doing parallel and perpendicular lines, and today's lesson is usually one of the more difficult ones on the final exam. So I hope you're paying attention, take out those notes, again, play along with us, and I think you will do just fine. So, let's go. First, we're going to ask you a strange question. And if you have this here in your notes, you may have wondered, why in the world is this here? Well, I'm here to show you just how easy this really is. I want you to be able to tell me which two pictures are exactly the same. Now, this seems like a silly question, but I think you can figure this out. Which two pictures are exactly the same? This may take me some time to figure out. I don't have anyone here to tell me which two pictures are the same, but hopefully you picked Mr. Camel right here. Those two pictures are exactly the same. Well, the whole reason why I'm asking you this is because we're looking for two slopes that are the same. That's hard to see. I hope you can see it. So if we have the same slope, we're going to look at same slopes being parallel. So if two lines have the same slope, they are parallel. What does parallel mean? That means that they're never going to touch each other, just like this line and that line. Those two lines will never touch. They are parallel. Alright, now I'm going to ask you a stranger question. Which two pictures are upside down from each other and also have a color change? Which ones are upside down from each other and have a color change? Alright, if you said the penguin, you are correct. Those are upside down. One is red and one is not. Alright, kind of the same deal when we're doing these slopes. We're looking for two fractions that have been flipped upside down. So flip is step one. And then, instead of a color change, we're going to do a sign change. So what I mean by that is if it was positive, now it's negative. If it was negative, now it's positive. So if you flip and change the sign, those are going to be perpendicular. Alright, so you have to both flip and change the sign of a fraction, and they will be perpendicular lines. This will make sense in the long run, I promise. So perpendicular, what does perpendicular look like? I'm glad you asked. So perpendicular would be like this line and this line. These are perpendicular. As you can imagine, these are very useful in building because you want your house to be perpendicular to the ground. This is also useful in any designs, animations, things like that. You want all of your characters who are walking on the ground to be perpendicular to the ground. Alright, now let's get into the nerdy math. Before we get too nerdy though, I want you to just tell me what the form is of each of these equations. Remember the three forms that we've learned. Our three options are, hold on, let me change my font so it's a little smaller. So my three options are, do you know them? I hope so. So my choices would be, the first one we learned was slope-intercept. Then we learned another form called standard form. And then just last week we learned point-slope form. Alright, so you have to choose which form goes with which. I'll give you a second to go ahead and pause, write which one you think of each of these are, and then we'll come back. Okay, for the first one, it says y equals. Whenever we have y equals, that's when you put slope-intercept. Next, x and y on this second one, these are together. X and y are together because they're so in love. It's just standard for them to be together, so that was standard form. I didn't mean to put these in order, but it turns out that's what I did. Sorry about that. So the last one, point slope, has parentheses, so I know that this one must be point slope form. Point slope has parentheses. It's standard for x and y to be together on the same side. Slope intercept means solve for y. Alright, next, we already know what forms they are. We just said so right there. These are the same equations. Now I just want you to tell me what's the slope. Alright, the first and the last one are super easy to find the slope for. Remember, you should just be able to circle the slope if the word slope is in the formula. So this has the word slope in it, and this has the word slope in it. Therefore, for these two, I should just be able to circle what the slope is. The slope is always the thing after the equal sign touching x in both slope-intercept form and point-slope form. So after the equal sign, touching that x. So here you have a 3 for a slope, and here you have a 3 for a slope. Now for standard form, it's a little bit harder, but not too bad. All I do is I write down a negative sign and a fraction bar. Alright, easy so far. The first number, the a value, the first number goes on top. The second number goes on bottom. Now I simplify. I have a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this has a slope of 3, this has a slope of 3, and that has a slope of 3. Since they all have the same slope, they are all parallel. Remember, parallel means we have the same slope. Remember, perpendicular is when you flip the slope upside down and change the sign. En español, este dice perpendicular, necesitas cambia el signo y también voltear la fracción. Alright, now we're playing everybody's favorite game show, parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And if you stare at the computer screen, you may go into a seizure, so be careful. That one really wigs out my eyes. Alright, we're going to determine if it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did. We're going to figure out which formula it is, and then we're going to go ahead and figure out what the slope is. Alright, super easy, right? Okay, what formula is the top one? Hopefully you said point slope, because point slope has parentheses. What formula is the bottom? Slope intercept, because it says y equals. Alright, both of these have the word slope in it, so I should just be able to circle the answer. Remember, slope comes right after the equal sign as long as it has the word slope in the formula. So there's my equal sign, there's my slope. So just to make sure we got this, this slope is 3, this slope is -3. So now, everybody's favorite game, are these, you get to decide, are they parallel, are they perpendicular, or are they neither? You go ahead, decide which one is it, parallel, perpendicular, or neither. I'll give you a second. Alright, did you choose parallel? If you did, let's look back one more time. Are these two the same? 3, -3. Are they exact twins? No, they're not. So these two are not parallel. So are they perpendicular? Well, let's look. Did the sign change? This one's +3, this is -3. Yes, the sign changed. So are they perpendicular? Well, no, they're not. Remember, to play parallel, perpendicular, or neither, you have to change the sign, but you also have to flip the slope. Well, 3/1? No, they did not flip upside down. If I wanted to flip 3/1, it would have to become 1/3. So it is not perpendicular either. Your answer should have been neither. Okay, let's try another. Alright, you go ahead, write down which form each of these are. Okay, by now, hopefully you finished that. This one, x and y are together, so they are in standard form. And here, it's solve for y, so this is slope-intercept form. Alright, this one has the word slope in it, so I should just be able to circle the slope. That one's easy. Now the other one does not have the word slope in it. It just says standard, so I have to do a little bit of extra work. Remember, I put a negative sign and a fraction bar. Then write down that first number, 2. Write down the second number, minus 5. What's a negative over negative? Hopefully you would say a positive. Okay, so there's the slope of that line. Here's the slope of the second line. Now you get to decide, are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither? You go ahead and choose. Alright, so let's check it out. Are these two exactly the same? 2 over 5, 5 over 2? No, they're not the same, so they are not parallel. Are they flipped? 2 over 5, 5 over 2? Yes, they are flipped. So are they perpendicular? No, sadly they are not perpendicular. Remember, in addition to being flipped, you also have to change the sign. This one is positive, and this one is positive. So the sign did not change. Your answer should be, they're still neither. That was a mean trick, wasn't it? Alright, you ready for another? Great. Alright, so I'm going to skip this one just so we have enough time and move on to this one. Alright, the first one. Oh, I'll give you a minute. Go ahead, write down what form each one is, hit pause, do that, and then we'll come back. Okay, the first one, you should have said this is in slope-intercept form. The second one, x and y are together, it's just standard for them to be together because they are so in love. So that one's standard form. This one has the word slope in it, so I know what my slope is. The second one does not have the word slope in it, so I have to do a little bit of work. I put a negative here, 5 goes on top, 10 goes on the bottom. And I can reduce negative 5 over 10 to get negative 1 over 2. Okay with that? Great. Alright, let's see if you got it this time. Decide whether these are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Parallel, perpendicular, or neither. I'll give you a second. There are my two slopes. Alright, are these two the same? No, that one's positive, that one's negative, so you know it's not parallel. Are they perpendicular? Well, are the signs different? Yeah, that's positive, that's negative. Are they flipped? 1 over 2? 1 over 2. They're still not flipped. They're also not perpendicular. They're neither again. That was a terribly mean trick. I'm just trying to keep you really on your toes today. Alright, now I'm not going to do that to you again. Or am I? Who knows? Alright, so let's try this one. This first one is in point slope. This one is in standard form. What's the slope of the first one? Well, this has the word slope in it, so I look right after the equal sign, and that gives me my slope is negative 2. Okay, now I'm going to look at the next one. My next one's standard form, so again, I have to do a little bit of work. Put the negative sign in my bar. 4 goes on top. Negative 8 goes on the bottom. A negative over negative is a positive, and then 4 over 8 reduces to 1 over 2. So there's my second slope, there's my first slope, and now I'm ready to go. Now I get to play everybody's favorite game, parallel, perpendicular, or neither. What do you think? Well, are these two slopes exactly the same? Negative 2, positive 1/2? No, they're not. Let's see, are they perpendicular? Are the signs different? Negative, positive. Yes, they're different. But did we flip? Is 1 over 2 flipped? 2 over 1? Yes, it is. So the signs changed and they flipped. So this time it really is perpendicular. Alright, we're feeling better about those? Let's make sure. Both of these are in standard form. So standard and standard, because x and y are together, they are so in love, it's just standard. So my first slope looks like this. I put 6 on top, 3 on bottom. That gives me -2. My second slope, I do negative, I put the bar, 4 on top, 2 on bottom. That gives me -2. Alright, time for everybody's favorite game, parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Are these slopes the same? You hopefully said yes, they are the same. So you circled parallel, and then you knew it could not be either of these. And that's all there is to it. Alright, now for the next section, probably the most important one, being able to write the equation of a line if I give you another line and another point. So you know that this is x and this is y. Now we're only going to use this equation for his slope, and then we're going to throw it away. So using it for its slope, then we throw away the whole thing. Will we use the y-intercept? No, we will not. Only the slope, and then throw it away. So this one's in slope-intercept form, so that tells me that the slope is right here. My slope is 2. So I'm going to write down over here, slope is 2. After I figured out that slope, then I'm going to take this and I'm going to completely throw it away and forget all about it. I'm only using this information here. Now I have a point and a slope. So when you have a point and a slope, what formula do you use? Hopefully you're thinking point-slope form. Now you're starting to see why last week's lesson was so important. So like last week, m goes in the middle, x goes with the x, and y goes with the y. Okay, that's great. So if I asked you for the point-slope formula, you would be completely done. However, probably on a test or quiz, you'll be asked to find slope-intercept form. That's alright, you know how to do that. You're going to distribute first. So distribute that 2. So that gives us 2x and +6. Finally, I'm going to add 7 to both sides because remember, slope-intercept means solve for y. So I'm going to add 7. And that's going to give me y equals 2x plus 13. And that's all there is to that one. So 2 is my slope, which I already knew. 13 is my y-intercept. Let's try another. Alright, we're looking at the equation first. Go ahead, figure out what the slope is for this equation. So hopefully you decided that this one's in standard form. So to find the slope, I'm going to put my negative sign in my fraction bar. Put the first number on top, the second number on bottom. I divide those and get 3. So my new slope, or my slope of this line, is 3. Now I was only using this equation for its slope. As soon as I have the slope, I just take that equation and throw it away. So my whole goal here is I'm trying to find a line that's parallel to this line and goes through this point. I have a point, I have a slope, so of course I'll put it in point-slope form. Just like that. Let me move this over so that I've got enough room for you to see. Okay, just like before, m goes in the middle, x goes with x, y goes over here with the y. I'm going to distribute my 3 right here, this 3. Distribute that, I got 3x minus 24. Then we'll subtract 3 from both sides. And I got y equals 3x minus 27. That's it. Let's try one more just like that. This time I'm giving you point-slope form and your point. You go ahead, hit pause, find the slope, put it in point-slope form, and then slope-intercept. Alright, hopefully you decided that this is indeed in point-slope form, which tells me my slope is right here. So I'm going to write down that my slope is -4. After that, we remember that we were just using this for its slope, so we forget all about it. This is the point, this is the slope, so I put it in point slope form. M goes in the middle, X goes here with the X, and Y goes here with the Y. Again, if this is a real struggle for you, go back to last week's video and that should help you. Okay, next we're going to distribute that -4 to both of those. This gives me y plus 1 equals -4x. Now what symbol goes here? Hopefully you remember that a negative times a negative is a positive 8. And finally subtract 1 from both sides, and this is going to give us y equals -4x plus 7. Fantastic job, everyone. Okay, now I think we're ready to go to the next one, which is perpendicular lines. So those last three that we just did, we were trying to find the line that was parallel. This time I want to take this line, y equals 2x minus 5. So let's pretend we have this graph here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a point there and up 2 over 1. Okay, so we've got this line. And I'm trying to create one that's perpendicular to it through the point -4, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a point here, and I want to make a perpendicular line. So I'm going to pretend that I'm good at drawing lines. So if I had to draw a line that was perpendicular to this one, it would look something like, oh, probably like that. So I would have to figure out what's the equation of this line, which is pretty difficult to do if you're just graphing it, but this is what it would look like. Alright, so just like before, I'm going to use this for its slope. This is in slope-intercept form, so you know that its slope is 2. Now, when I write it over here, I'm not going to write m equals 2, because remember this is perpendicular. So perpendicular means I have to do two things. Flip and change the sign. So if I flip, this would become 1 over 2. If I change the sign, this was positive, so this will be negative. Recuerda que siempre quieres voltear la fracción y también cambia el signo. So you're going to flip and change the sign. Now that I have that, I am good to go. I can just scratch this out and write my point slope formula. Alright, m goes in the middle, x goes with x, y goes with y. I know there's a fraction here. Don't curl up into a ball and cry or anything. We're just going to distribute it right through. You probably have a calculator on you, and if not, you could hopefully figure out what half of 4 is. Alright, so I've got -1/2 times x. Now if I gave you, I have $4 and I gave you half, how much would I give you? Well, I would give you 2. That's probably not going to happen, but there it is. Next I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And that gives me y equals -1/2 x plus 5. And that's all. Hey, as you noticed up here, by the way, with my junky little drawing, my y-intercept really was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my slope, I went down 2 and over 4, which is a half negative. I drew that perfectly. Wow. Bonus points for me today. Okay, let's do another. This one's in standard form, so his slope right now is, put my negative in my fraction bar, x and y are together, so that's why I said it's in standard form. 6 goes on top, -2 goes on the bottom. This gives me a slope of 3. So over here I put m equals, do I put 3? No, because it says perpendicular. Since it says perpendicular, I have to flip. So there's my flip. And change the sign. This was positive, so now it's negative. So now I have a point and a slope. I don't need this equation anymore, so I just throw all of this away. Let's write my point slope formula. Hopefully you're getting really good at writing that. Like before, m goes in the middle. Oh my goodness, I know it's a fraction. You're going to survive, I promise. You're not going to go extinct like I am. Now 9 goes here, and -2 goes there. We're going to distribute that -1/3. So that gives me -1/3 x. Do you have -3? Hopefully no. You remember negative times negative is a +3. Finally, subtract 2 from both sides. That gives me y equals -1/3 x plus 1. That's all there is to that one. Do you think you can do one on your own? Sure you can. Go ahead, hit pause, do this one, and then come back to us. Alright, hopefully you said to yourself that this one must be in point slope form. And since it has the word slope, you knew that the slope was -4. But our new slope is not -4 because this says perpendicular. So when I write it down over here, I'm not going to write -4. I have to take this and flip. So flip like that and change the sign. This was negative, so that must be positive. As soon as I know that, I can cross all of this out. This is in point slope form, of course, so I write out my point slope formula. Just like always, m is in the middle. X goes here with the x. Oh no, it's another fraction. We're going to live, I promise. Y goes with the y. And now you're good to distribute and then get rid of the 8. So this gives me y plus 8 equals 1/4 x. Wait a minute. You didn't stop me. Something's wrong, isn't it? Yes, you're right. 8 goes with x. -2 is with y. Did you catch that? Oh, I hope so. Alright, just checking you, making sure you're okay. If you followed along and wrote all that just because I did, shame on you. You should have been screaming at me through your computer. Alright, for real this time. I'm not going to mess with you anymore. So, m goes in the middle. X is here. X goes with x. Y goes with y. Alright, now we feel better about this. Let's distribute our 1/4. 1/4 of 8 is 2. And then I'll go ahead and subtract this 2 from both sides. Ooh, something crazy is going to happen here. 2 minus 2 gives me 0. So I can put plus 0 here, or if I leave that off, that's okay as well. It doesn't matter. So y equals 1/4 x, or y equals 1/4 x plus 0. Those would both be great. Alright, I hope you're feeling pretty good. This has been a lot of fun for me. Alright, if you have questions, you know what to do. You can go to the bottom of my Canvas page, find my email address, and email me your questions right now. Or if you want, you could look at the bottom of my Canvas page, look and see when my office hours are, and click on the link there just to talk to me face to face in front of the computer. If you don't have questions and you are good to give this a shot, then go to the Canvas page again and click on what the homework assignment is and have at it. Alright, again, I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for working so hard. It's going to pay off for you later, I promise. Alright, have a beautiful day and a beautiful week, everybody. Keep working hard. It's all going to be okay.